back.
Welcome.
Hope everyone's doing well. Happy family and friends. Happy it's Saturday for us. But welcome back to another episode of Put
Your
Pride Down.
Down.
All right.
Yes.
Once again, my name is Kurt Turnier. Pronouns he, him, and his.
My name is Malik Turner. Pronoun he, him, and his.
And we tapping back. We are for probably the second time. So this is episode 11. This is episode 11. I think this is the second time we've been able to record back-to-back weeks. So we told ourselves every Friday we're gonna record. I messed up yesterday. It was a long week at work, and I went straight out. I went out and I was like, you know what? I need to just not work. I appreciate you calling just to make sure where I was at or if I was ready, because I was outside.
You all good, bro. It is all good.
All right, yeah, but we can hop right back into it.
Wait, before we do that,
you're right.
follow us on Instagram. Put Your Pride Down, all lowercase.
Yep.
YouTube and Spotify as well. We release on all those platforms. Just make sure you follow us again. Put Your Pride Down, all lowercase. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and show some love. Yes, indeed.
Appreciate y'all. And for those who are continuing listeners, appreciate y'all. Thank you. And those who are first-time listeners, please continue just to give us your feedback, if any. And for first-time listeners, we appreciate y'all as well. But yeah, just hopping back right into our checking question. For those who are new, we always start our episodes with a checking question before we dive into the conversation for that day. But the checking question is, what in your life is most encouraging to your faith right now? You want to start?
Yeah,
Sure.
now, sir.
I bet.
What is most encouraging to my faith right now? So I would say the breakthrough. The breakthrough is most encouraging right now because, it's I'm realizing a lot of things that we all go through in life. Like literally, everyone's always going through something, and I'm not gonna get into the fine details and everything, but I'm realizing that I feel that the breakthrough is coming based on all the circumstances and things that I'm going through, within life. And so making sure that I just remain steadfast and remain a prayer warrior, continue to pray, continue to pray for others, continue to pray for the enemy, continue to uplift my spirit, to, seek revelation and to be within God's presence. And I can feel that more and more on a day-to-day basis, and that's giving me the power and strength that I'm receiving from God to keep pushing through. So that's really encouraging me, just to remain steadfast and just to realize that I'm coming closer to breakthrough. And that breakthrough is, I don't know what the breakthrough is going to look like, it was going to feel like, but I'm just really excited that I'm able just to change the framework on how I view situations and challenges. And those situations and challenges will give me the ability to overcome anything that I face, but just to make sure that I always remain on God and call on Jesus, not when I need them, but just to say thank you, just to give them grace and honor, just to make sure that I'm showing my, not just respect, but just that I honor them, that I honor God, that I honor Jesus for what they have done in my life and what they continue to do in my life, because we already know, without Jesus' sacrifice, we wouldn't be here. Without God, we wouldn't be here. And so I'm becoming more aware on the strength and power that I'm receiving from God, on how I can continue to keep pushing throughout these circumstances, and also just being grateful of the moments of joy. So that's how I feel for right now.
And you don't need to go into specifics, but you said that there's a change in mindset. So maybe not like the specifics of the situation that has caused the change in mindset, but what is that change mindset that you were referring to?
Oh boy. In life is a lot of things that we know that we do not have control of. And we talk about this a lot, like literally a lot. But when you know that there's something that you have literally no control of, it's whatever. I'm talking about finances. Finances, we talked about that on the previous podcast about breaking generational curses when it comes to finances, on how we invest, how we view money, how we utilize money. And I know right now, like, first, I just been blessed just to have money in general. But some people receive that in abundance, and some people just receive that at the level that they're able to appreciate what they've been given. And I'm just being more appreciative of what I have in life. And I'm realizing that all those challenges and things that comes with finance and just overall spirit and energy, I can just let go all that, pray to God, and just trust and have my faith in God that everything will be more than all right. And that's what I've been able to do so far. Those areas of, again, just the spiritual energy, spiritual warfare, finances, and just realizing there's a lot of things that I don't have control of. Because we all feel like we do have control in certain situations, and we really don't. We really don't. And again, I know we talk about this all the time, but we really don't. I think it's more just how our emotions give us the ability to react to certain things. We feel like we have control of something, but literally before we were birthed within our mother's womb, well, formed within our mother's womb, then obviously birth, but you know what I mean by that. God has already ordained our journey already. It's just how do we make sure that we remain in line with God? And so I'm realizing that I just need to let it go and just give it to God, simply as put.
You know what's funny that you were that as you were speaking, was it yesterday or two days ago? I was outside. I went for a walk, and Kanye West, Can't Tell Me Nothing, it came on, and like in the first three lines, he goes, he says, "Hey guy, I'll be right back in a second." And as you were talking about that, I was thinking about my own experiences and how like you can't always use it. I think sometimes we tell God, "Hey, like hey God, like don't go nowhere. I'll be right back." And that's how I connected to what you were just saying, that you need to have complete belief that God has it handled, regardless of. And I was in that mindset too and we, like I said, we've talked about this, that like you try to grab the reins, you try to have control of this thing called life, but at the end of the day, like God has the control, and the sooner you understand that, the sooner the easier for it is for God to do what he needs to do. Because sometimes we can get, not only our way, we could get in God's way of the blessing he's trying to get to us. So I'm happy to hear.
Like, what y'all doing? Like, fix this, bro. Let me just
And it's funny because sometimes I feel like I'll pray to God for something, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go and which thing is, and that's the hard part, right? Because there are these two sayings. There is faith without works is dead. There's that, but then walk by faith and not by sight, as well. And I think it's kind of like a scale. You kind of need to. There's a balance somewhere in there that I have yet to master. And it sounds like you are trying to figure out too, as we all should. But it's like, well, faith without works is dead. So like, my faith is not gonna excel. It's not gonna thrive. It's not gonna bloom into wherever it needs to bloom into if I'm not working to achieve whatever the thing I'm trying to obtain that faith in, or whatever outcome I'm trying to obtain as a result of my faith.
Yeah.
But you need that work. But on the other side, you have walk by faith and not by sight. So it's like, okay, so faith that works is dead, but you still need to understand that you need to have faith to and one thing I'm thinking about is, so when I was supervising RAs at one point, I think this was like my first year working professionally. It was when we had a staff training at like 8 a.m. in the morning, when we had to get our whole staffs over to wherever the training was.
Yeah.
And I had one RA, I think he was like a senior at the time. We are walking up to the crosswalk. Like it was like 14 of us. 13 of us stop at the crosswalk. Be like, all right, the light is the hand is up. The stop. You need to wait for the light to turn red so we could cross. One of my RAs, he keeps on walking.
Complete faith.
Just keeps on walking. I'm like, hey yo, like what are you doing? He said, walk by faith and not by sight.
That's funny.
I'm like, man. And then
an example.
And then I'm like, yeah, but faith without works is dead. And if you don't work to look across the street,
you gonna be dead.
I'm not gonna speak this on you, but I hope you know where I am going. But by that time he was already on the other side. Street. Yeah, he made it. He was good. The rest of us were waiting for the light to go red, and then we crossed. But I think the concept of just having complete faith in God is something that we are all still trying to figure out, and it's not always perfect. But as long as you've been saying that you've been praying a lot more than you have ever had, right? So yeah, I appreciate that you just continue to keep that message alive. Just put it in God's hands, no matter how hard it is. To release the control. Let it be known that God has the full and complete control of any situation.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
How about you, my brother? I know it's gonna be good when you do that.
The thing that is most encouraging to my life right now is that everything, and to your point of being extra prayerful, just everything that I've asked for is coming to fruition now, or if not necessarily coming to fruition in this moment, it's preparing me for I could see in real time that it is preparing me for the thing that I want down the line. So I'm a grant manager now, but when I was transitioning out of higher ed, all right, so I'm trying to not take too much time, but on this question,
bruh,
we got the real conversation.
Take as much time as you need, man.
All right, so real quick, started working in higher ed in 2018. I was in grad school between 2016 and 2018. Started working at the end of 2018 professionally full time. But however, when I was still in grad school, when I was still in grad school, I was having conversations with some of like the people who have been in higher ed for years, damn near retirement age at that point, or should have retired, but they put me on game in terms of how higher ed works and the business side of it. And I think at that point I was like, I don't see higher ed as a forever career, but did not necessarily know what were the other opportunities out there. So a year into working professionally in 2019, I went to a conference in Orlando. It's the National Conference for First Generation Success and Closing the Achievement Gap. And that was in Orlando, Florida. And I met this guy like between between sessions, or before like the keynote, and he just kind of asked me like, what, like, who am I, like, what do I want to do? And I'm like, hey, or no, actually no, we're talking about higher ed,
Yeah.
and programming, and not just higher ed, but when it comes to the youth that we serve and closing the achievement gap of first gen students, or students who hold or youth who hold marginalized identities. Programming is cool, but the real impact in this work is through understanding how the money works. Where is the money coming from? How to access more of it to continue to push into the programs, to give the people who program more resources. And that was the basis of the conversation: how to bring in more resources into the programming that we offer. So basically, we end the conversation talking about, hey, like, that grant. He told me that grant writing is where I need to focus my energy to if I really want to have the impact. Mind you, there's so many ways to have impact in this work, but I guess something that I said, he told me, or something I said had something has activated something in his mind to have him tell me I need to go into grant writing. So I applied for this program. I didn't get into the first program. Talking to Aisha, who was a coworker of ours, and she told me about this nonprofit program. Long story short, I finished the program, and then there were opportunities for an internship. However, I was not eligible because I graduated from the program May of 2021, and the internships were for students who were returning back to the program the following academic year, fall of 2021. But me being me, I'm just like, I'm not gonna settle for that answer. So or at least I didn't settle for what was advertised. So I reached out to the director of the program and said, hey, these are my goals. I'm transitioning out of higher ed, but I also want the work experience as well. Can I apply? He said, not right now. I'll wait for the application to close. So for people who are eligible to apply first, and for them to get their opportunity, so we make sure we are fair and true to what we advertise. But then they said just reach back out to see if there are any opportunities available. So I reached back out. They get back to me and they said, hey, just submit my resume and whatever internships that were still available, and pick from those few. And that summer I was able to do an internship with a organization, or at least a department at a organization, basically working on grants, on local grants, corporate grants, family foundation grants, and just kind of getting my footing in that door. And close to the end of that internship, like July of 2021, I reached out to someone on LinkedIn. I was like, hey, my goal is to be, or at this point, I want to be a grants manager. How do I prepare myself for that type of role? So she didn't get back to me for another like 2-3 months. Like, she didn't get back to me until October. She said, hey, this is a position that is available that you can apply for, that will set you up for a grants manager role. But at that point in time, I had already secured another opportunity. So I just said, hey, thank you, I have secured something, but I appreciate it. Long story short, I sent her that message on LinkedIn July 15th of 2021. Fast forward 2 years later, July 17th, 2023, I got offered the position as a grant manager. So, Yeah. So, and then me and my homegirl Alex, when we in 2017, we were talking about this dream that we have to better our community. Um, and thank God that we didn't try to start then, because that would have just blown up in our face. Because there's just a lot when it comes to starting new initiatives, a lot of politics, a lot of knowledge and wisdom that comes with that. And if if we were trying to start in 2017, we were not prepared at all. But now she's doing phenomenal things, opening up her own practice. Plus, I'm starting programs. I'm learning how to write grants. I am managing federal grants, or a federal grant at this at this time. So like a lot of things are falling. So it's two things, right? So one of it is like the thing that I asked for, the thing that I've been working for, that I'm like, damn, I don't know if it'll ever come to fruition. It's now coming to fruition, where I get to manage a federal grant for a program that serves youth who dropped out of high school. But it's not just about them dropping high school, but like, hey, we're gonna set you up for a career. And that's the work that I'm doing now, that I want to do since grad school. And helping them transition from adolescence into adulthood. So that's the first part. So I have achieved this dream at this point. But then also the goals that me and my friend Alex had set for ourselves in 2017, we are clearly on the right path to do that now. So those are the things that are most encouraging to me and encouraging to my faith right now. So yeah,
man, that's a blessing. Because I know we talked about that off screen and everything, but the way that you went all the way back to years prior, based on that confidence and that connection, sounded like that, like God was speaking through that person to speak through, like, look, you're gonna be doing this.
Yeah.
And well, you said that was 2018.
That was 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
What? Do my math right? 4 years later.
Mind you, we're just talking, we were just chopping it up, just about, hey, like, this is the work that we want to do. How do we continue to maximize, not just ourselves, but the youth that we want to serve. And he called it. I wish I got his business card or whatever. I do remember
he might see this one day,
right? I do remember he was wearing a bright blue suit, like a bright baby blue suit. I'm like, and this was a black man too. This is a black man in a baby blue suit, a fire suit. I think you have one of those. Don't you have a bright blue suit?
Not that bright. It's not that bright. It's somewhere around the line. It wasn't me though. I didn't.
Oh no, it wasn't you, but you've also spoken things into my life as well. So I appreciate you as well.
Likewise, man.
But yeah, so that's what is most encouraging to my faith right now.
That's really beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, because literally, like, something that was manifested in the past has came to fruition. What you're doing right now, and you didn't move in a different direction that put you at loss from that opportunity. You just kept on pushing no matter what circumstances you were faced. So I know we did this last time, but it sounds like you should press the applause button.
Let's get myself.
Yeah.
I don't have my glasses on.
There we go.
Did I do right? All right. I don't have my glasses on, so
you can't see.
I couldn't differentiate what was what.
No,
I appreciate that, bro. Thank you. But before that, what was on the agenda for this conversation was taking time, right, and being intentional about time, right? You want to dive into that real quick?
Yeah, and I feel like what you said is definitely interconnected based with the conversation, because you could have, again, easily been discouraged from that Because you could be nah, this is not what I want to do right now, or you could have went on your own path, or whatever that journey was. And again, based on 2017, you and Alex, like y'all could have, again, like you said, start that business. And not saying y'all would have failed, but like you don't know what that would have happened and where you would have been at right now in life. So it sounds like that your steps were ordained for you to be patient, for you to be intentional with that time frame, by first connecting with someone that you didn't know, going back to school, because you already have one. Well, now you have 2 master's degrees and a bachelor's degree, but at that point in time, you had 1 bachelor's and 1 master's.
Yeah.
And you could have been nah, like I'm too good to go back to school. Like I can just connect with some people that I know, work hard, or for free, whatever it may be. But you took the risk upon yourself to go back to school when you're working a full-time job.
Yeah.
And we mean full-time, we mean like, I'm not over exaggerating, probably like 60 or 80 hours a week, like for real.
Yeah.
Doing that, going through the pandemic, going through your own personal circumstances, challenges, whatever it may be, and still push forward and graduate with another master's degree and still maintain that focus during the unemployment, during the other behind the scenes stuff that you're going with, and be blessed by God to work in the position where you work at now. And like you said, everything is being aligned at the right time.
Yeah.
And so I'm just glad to hear that you still had that faith within God, and also faith within yourself, no matter how you felt. Because again, we could always feel discouraged, but you realize that your passion to connect with high school students, or just students in general, when it comes to providing more equitable access to college or just education, is still a strong passion for you.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, I think I don't want to speak out loud right now.
Okay.
But I'm trying to provide a little bit more context. I think you had said this in a previous episode about someone doubting you on like graduating or something like that.
Oh yeah, a lot of people have doubted me from graduating from undergrad. So yeah,
and I think it was more just like something as well. You say you had wrote something down somewhere of a dream that you want to accomplish, and it's something about like higher education or just like still working with that student population. And so we're even going back further in time, like early 2013, maybe even 2010s at this point in life.
Yeah.
So this is over a 10-year time frame on the work that you have done. So they press that applause button again, man. It's the second one right here. There you go.
Appreciate that, bro. Yeah. It's been a journey, and even going back to the conversation of just like really just taking the time to be prepared. What are we doing with our time? Like, are we making the best use of our time, right? Like now I'm in a position where like I am managing meetings not only within my own organization but amongst partners across the county. And one thing I've learned, or a few things that I've learned, one is if I don't know the answer, I don't know the answer. It's faster to say I don't know than just start talking and saying a whole bunch of nonsense. And just like it makes no sense whatsoever. Or not only does it not make sense, but like you're probably saying things like you can't do or is not true, or just making stuff up just for the sake of having a answer. And now you're making stuff up. Now people hold you accountable for the stuff that you are making up, and it's just no. So one is like to say I don't know, and then two, just come prepared. Because that's how you maximize the time of any space that you are in. Doing research, even for like a job interview, right? For something as I won't say as simple, because it's not always simple, but even for like spaces like a job interview, like it's best that you go online, you go onto LinkedIn, you go onto Google, and you do the research on the organization. You do the research on the goals of that organization, the staff, the partners, how your past work experience aligns with what they're currently doing or what they are trying to do as well. There's so much that is said for just being prepared, and just the way that you maximize on time is just being prepared. And I guess for the both of us, I'm not gonna put too much of your business out there, but like, you've been in the process of preparing yourself for a potential opportunity as well, and I hope that you get it. I hope that you understand that, since even like your life changes on a personal level are now impacting and directing where your life is going to go professionally. And I hope that you see that within yourself as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Yeah, and no, I definitely need that for sure. Because I know throughout different times of my life, I'll say I'm having more of a change of mindset on how I view time.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking back now, like 10 years ago, boy, I'll probably just give myself a hug 10 years ago. I'll be like, bro, like just take your time on developing your relationship with God. Having faith and belief that Jesus Christ died for your sins, that he loves you.
Yep.
Do more of the internal work of yourself to have self-love. To find what authenticity means to you. To be more intentional about your passions.
Yep.
To be more intentional with your finances.
Yep.
Slow down with the women. Not saying I had a lot, nothing like that, but like, just in general, just being more focused, having a tunnel vision, focus on what's really important.
I'm happy you cleaned that up.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not no what they say,
a gigolo?
No, a gallist. And I know gallist.
Hey. Yo.
Let me digress from that before I get off topic. But
we get distracted easily, I hear.
No, for real. But also being more intentional about like the world that we live in. And I'm gonna throw this in there as well. The spiritual world as well.
Okay. Because
there's a lot of things that happen around us, things that we may or may not understand. And we can be distracted. We can get distracted. Like, no, the devil's busy, man. And we all know that through...
Got full plate.
Yeah, no, for real. Through relationships, through the industries, through the media. And there's a lot of things that we can be distracted by, but we have to make sure that we utilize our time wisely. Because I keep on hearing the conversation on things I watch on YouTube, or just like conversation in general. We are not promised tomorrow.
Nope.
And just imagine have that feeling, that things that you're currently doing right now, like, is it, and I'm not judging nobody, I'm just being straightforward. Is it God-like? Is it something that goes against God's commandment? Is it something that is ordained by God? Because if you're doing the things that you're not supposed to be doing, you're just wasting your time, wasting your life. And then literally, God has so much power, he can snap it. I don't know, I'm not going to say like as a magician, but like literally anything that can happen, that God wants something to change, he'll just change it. And you can just transition from this world. You don't know if you're going to heaven or hell.
His will thy be done.
Yes. And so what I'm trying to say is that realizing how you need to be intentional with your time is very important. Like, move away from social media, move away from certain desires, move away from certain communities. And I'm not saying this easy, because I already know I've been there. I talked about how I had a addiction with marijuana, because I felt that I was so disconnected from myself, and also disconnected from talking to God.
Yep.
And I've removed that from my framework. Maybe certain thoughts and things of that nature, but it's more positive now. And I'm just realizing that, yeah, there's benefits to marijuana and stuff like that, but I know now I cannot use this in my life, because this will be wasting my time. I have to start to track all the way back over all the years of effort and energy that I put in. I have to start that over. Why start over instead of just moving forward?
Yeah.
And so, we're honestly living testimonies that we've continued to move forward. No matter the roller coaster, no matter the ride, no matter the obstacles, everyone's going through something. Yeah. And it can be as harsh as it may be, but at the beginning, at the end of the day, it's really truly just putting our faith in God, and putting faith in God, that knowing that if we be intentional with our time could last as long as it needs to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I say on that.
I think
Like
that's
it's
yeah,
boy.
yeah.
Mm.
Pastor Malik.
Nah, ain't no preacher.
No, but yeah, no. You spoke to the intentionality heavy on the time on our movements. Is this really worth the temporary satisfaction of what this is going to give me? And that's what I got from what you just said. You just said a lot, and I hope that the thing is, and what's funny is that like sometimes I feel like sometimes when we talk, we go into such a bag that's like we don't even recognize like, oh, we just said all this. Sometimes I like rewatch. I hate hearing the sound of my own voice, and I'm sure that everyone feels the same way. Like no one likes to hear the sound of their own voice. But you just dropped a lot of gems that really just comes back down to this is what I'm doing with my time, and that's it. And it really needs to be non-negotiable. We your time needs to be non-negotiable. There's too many people are out here playing with it. The devil's trying to find different ways to distract you from your life goals and what the purpose that God put you on this earth to achieve. And a lot of times, and that's when I'm learning now or seeing in real time, is that God speaks through people. God speaks through us. And people who like I said, like the guy in the bright blue suit. Remember his name?
You out there somewhere.
He's out there somewhere.
Show yourself. I don't know why I said that, but
no, I think
pull up on us,
man. That sounds like something from like Harry Potter. But yeah, not whatever.
Nah, go ahead.
Nah. I'm gonna leave it alone.
You talking about the cloak?
Yeah,
I need some of it.
Yeah, there was one scene in Harry Potter, the way he said shh straight up. It was Harry and Ron were like under the cloak in like, in the dark, like in the hallway, and they were trying to find some hidden tunnel, and then Professor Snape was out here trying to find whoever was thinking about it. I think they like stepped on something that had creaked or cracked. And he was like, he said, "Show yourself," but like in old British language. It was a different word, outside of. So, he said, reveal yourself. Reveal yourself, with his little flashlight, on his wand. But yeah, so that's what I was thinking about. But yeah, man, I'm just hoping that we can continue to be the voices that God needs for us, to continue to speak onto others, speak onto ourselves, and just continue to thrive, and just forever to be intentional about the time that we are putting in, right? Even with like this podcast, where like we were inconsistent, right? We will record every weekend, we record every other weekend, we will record like once a month. But now it's like, no, we need to stick to a schedule. So every week, if it's not Friday, it'll definitely be Saturday. It's not Saturday, definitely on Sunday. But every week we will be recording from here on out and hold us accountable to that. But yeah, so how you feeling?
Feeling good, man.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm also interested to hear what the people got to say about their time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do y'all utilize your time? What are some ways that y'all try to be intentional? What are some ways that you try to make sure that you're following God's commandments? What are some ways you're making sure that you're not following in the wrong direction, or some ways you're not falling astray? So just let us know on ways that you've been able to restructure your time from doing things that are not supposed to be done. Again, I don't want to sound like all them churchy folks, like on like sinful ways, but we all can come from sin. But what are some of the ways that you've been able to restructure your time to make sure you've been more intentional? Because you can see it again, like he talked about the things he went through, and how he's able to be in the position that he's in right now based on his interest and passion. If you would have wasted that time, you would have been somewhere else. If I would waste my time, again, delving with marijuana and stuff like that, I probably would have been somewhere off dead somewhere. I'm not going to hold you. Just based on the internal emotions and thoughts. Like, we have to make sure we change our framework to adjust to, again, the steps that God has ordained for us. So even if you feel lost, if you feel confused, it's not too late. You just have to make sure that you are understanding that we don't have that much time left. We have to cherish what we have here and just do the best of our ability to make sure we're doing the work that God has assigned us to do. So just let us know.
And on top of that, I will ask a second question on top of yours. So what do you do with your time? One, but what was that pivotal moment in your life that made you address how you manage your time and your intentionality of your time? So yeah, so appreciate y'all. Continue to drop your comments, like, subscribe, have conversations with us in the comments, and then remember we are on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, wherever you find your podcasts. Thank you. Or Apple Podcasts and Apple Music. But yo, on that note, peace.
Yes, sir.